If I can help a supermarket chain, which is not very advanced technology-wise, that never invests in AI to actually leverage their own generated data to make better decision and have such an ROI, I can do it everywhere else.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to SlatorPod. So we want to continue to explore multilingual speech tech and AI. So we asked Amir Haramaty to join the podcast. So Amir is the co-founder and president of aiOla. So aiOla is a deep tech voice, speech, and conversational AI company. And I'll say a few more things about the company. So they work on enterprise workflows. The problem they tackle is, standard speech tech fails in real business environments, and we really want to talk about that challenge. And so they focus on must-have industries like food, pharma, logistics, energy, semiconductors, and I'm sure Amir is going to tell us a lot more. So Amir, thanks so much for joining today.
Thank you, Florian. Thank you for having me.
Where in the world are you recording this from today?
It's challenging because I was in Frankfurt yesterday, Madrid the day before. I'm actually in Tel Aviv today. And I'll be back in Europe on Sunday. But, especially now when speech is no longer a secret, it seems like it's one of the hottest topics, and I cannot run fast enough.
100%. Yeah, that's why we also wanted to get you on the podcast. And I have to confess, I listened to a few of your podcasts, and super, super interesting. So I'm very excited to get this podcast on the road today. So first, what does aiOla stand for?
Actually, aiOla is AI operating layer. That's what it stands for.
AI operating layer. What a great name. So take us back to the time first before aiOla. You worked with and founded like multiple AI and data focused ventures before. So just kind of tell us the trajectory, where this came from, and then also the company in a nutshell, where the idea motivation originated.
Absolutely. So some may claim that I'm a serial entrepreneur. I don't like that word anymore. I think it's been washed down completely. The way I like to define myself as a serial problem solver is to find a real problem, build an incredible team, bring amazing technology that can generate value. That's a simple blueprint. Been lucky enough to do it now for the sixth time. Been multiple success stories with amazing outcomes. The last one got me deep into AI 10 years ago, long before A and I became the most used and abused letters in the English language at present time. And actually, with my previous company, we were the AI platform of choice of one of the leading management consulting company globally, where I had this privilege to be with them, to serve with them in about more than triple-digit number of engagements with Fortune 1000, which is a rare privilege to have a courtside seat, if you will, to see what's working, what's not working, what the big promise of AI is meeting traditional enterprises. And I cannot sugarcoat it. It was not a pretty sight. Many takeaways from that, but the three main ones is the fact that with everything that happened with AI, which is incredible, I think collectively we got a bit confused. AI tools are amazing, but despite the fact that AI is still just tools, which really polarized and emphasized the fact it's no longer an AI challenge, it's truly a data challenge, because the majority of data is still not part of the game because it's uncaptured and unstructured. We built this incredible monster, the AI tools, we need to feed them. So the challenge right now is absolutely data challenge. Now, there are very few things that people hate more than entering data. Data entry is a chore. They treat it as such. Therefore, it's reflected in a quality, quantity, timing. And therefore Zurich, we got a challenge. We got a problem here. It's all about data. Most of the data is still not part of the game. Data entry is a challenge. So how can we fix that? And then speech is the most natural form of communication. It's 3 times faster than anything else. Actually, in 1/3 of the time, you capture in 3x amount of data. And eventually, any human-machine interface will be voice first. There's no question in my mind. However, when you put in a real setting, and real world setting, the combination of languages, accents, challenging acoustic environment, because we are not working in a lab. It can be a production floor or a busy airport. And above all, we learned, Florian, that every industry, in every company, in every location has a very specific jargon. That in all fairness, there's no ASR, automatic speech recognition platform, off the shelf that was built to handle it. Hence, the biggest challenge when you put the concept, I would love to use voice, but the setting of language, accent, acoustic environment, and jargon, the performance is subpar and unacceptable. So first, we view it as a triple challenge. One, how can we get it to be close to 100% in those settings? Even when we do so, we're not interested to be a passive listener or anything like that. We actually want to automatically separate the noise from the signal, the wheat from the chaff, or whatever you want to call it, but to be able to extract only what's relevant for that specific process or workflow. And specifically, by the way, with all the ultra sensitivity, and rightly so, to privacy, it's like, I'm going to take the data that you want to share with me, only when you will share with me, and I'll know automatically how to clean, the chit chat from the key data point I want to extract. So one is accuracy, two is separating the noise from the signal, and third, I think is the most important one, we're not talking about speech to text. We're not speaking about speech to transcription. Speech for us is highly unstructured data that we turn to highly structured data. So it's speech to data, speech to schema, speech to workflow. And that's the vision we had in mind when we initiated aiOla. And actually, I do many things well, but I'm not a speech expert. And I wanted to get some stamp of approval. We're in the right direction. So I was searching for one of the best experts in the world to give me that blessing. Found one of them here in Israel, Professor Joseph Keshet, which at the time was leading the research of Alexa for Amazon, and some claim that Siri was founded in his laboratory. And after spending several hours with Professor Keshet, he said, Amir, you're onto something really big here. You haven't offered me a thing, but I already accept it. Tell me that you want me and I'll join you as a chief scientist, and he did. And so that's the genesis, that's how aiOla came about, but then we took it to the next level and decided how we're going to attack it in a completely different way, but that's a completely different story.
Yeah, we want to touch on all of that. So I want to start with the question, like we have these giant multi-purpose LLMs. They've been trained, on I don't know how many gigawatts are these days, and you need to build nuclear power plants to power them, and trillions of dollars are pouring into it. So, but I think in a previous podcast you said instead of a huge general LLM, you're building a small, very kind of workflow specific language model that is tuned to a single process. So would that be a fair description? And tell us more about this.
It's accurate enough. And the main thing there, actually, it was the discussions we had. And I realized what you describe is absolutely true about the big LLMs. If I try to oversimplify, they're constantly using brute force to boil the ocean and then to try to narrow it down to your specific use case. And we were talking to say, why do we need to boil the ocean in order to make coffee? All we need is that much water. With that process in mind, think about, and it's a real use case, by the way, a chicken nuggets manufacturer for one of the largest chains, global chains with golden arches worldwide. I cannot mention the name.
We'll let the imagination run wild.
Yes, very wild. But in any case, they still have to meet some very strict procedures and very strict guidance. And they have to complete the process, and it's been done in Thailand. And Thai is a very challenging language. It's a tone language. You probably know that very well from your past. You can say the same word that has 7 different meanings, depends on the tone. And none of us, unfortunately, speaks Thai. And all we needed from them is to take that one little form in Thai, a list of keywords. We don't need to retrain the data. And everything in 0 shot for that specific workflow or process or inspection form, we're going to build a language model that can be deployed on any Android or iOS device. They're going to turn in accuracy close to 100% in those specific setting of acoustic, jargon, etc., etc. Then now they can walk a talk hands-free, and the data will be captured. And a process that previously took 2 hours, now it dropped to 34 minutes. So first, it's an unbelievable efficiency gains, especially in these razor-thin margin industries. All of a sudden, give them an hour plus of production. It's very dramatic. But this is just the first wave. The second wave, we now created data that previously was not captured and not structured, which now becomes a raw material that allow you to connect the dots beyond what the human eye can see and the human brain can process, and constantly bring evergreen, ever-learning insights and intelligence, and identify trends before the form. So there are 2 elements here, and then we can talk about the importance of agents, etc. on top of it. But that's the story here. Now, the most important part, at the end of the day, and I'm really glad that 4 months now, in July, MIT came with an incredible, interesting report that claimed that 95% of AI pilots at enterprises have failed to demonstrate value, impact, and ROI. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of discussions right now about the AI bubble, etc. Well, breaking news, we all know there's a bubble. Absolutely, there is a bubble. But underneath it, I think very quickly we'll be able to separate the pretenders from the contenders. And basically say, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how small or big you are, you still need to do more with less. How you demonstrate an ROI. Let me give you a very fresh example that starts, and I have multiple use cases. Every single use case we do, even before we start, we're simulating what's going to be the return of investment, what's going to be the impact. So right now, for example, we're dealing with a Fortune 50 sales organization that conducting sales meetings at client sites. And they're using one of the leading CRMs, Salesforce in this case, as the backbone. And again, the first challenge is people treat it as a chore, so the data of the quality, the quantity of the data, the real-time data entry struggles. And second is, so first we were able to take it from 7.5 minutes to 1.5 minutes to enter the data. Much more accurate, perfect data, no mistakes, real-time data. But by doing so, we actually freed up 120 minutes a week per salesperson that he or she now will be able to do 2 more meetings per week. So first, you drive efficiency and data quality, but second, you're generating more opportunities to do more with less with the same amount of time. So everything we do, and we have those examples from supermarket chains to airlines to manufacturing to pharmaceuticals. The interesting part about us, we are dumb as it gets. We know nothing about any industry. There's no domain knowledge or expertise. We just know how to take unstructured data by speech, put it in the right place, combine automatic speech recognition with natural language understanding, and be able to generate quantifiable and measurable value.
In the industry, you're seeing, or you've in the past seen kind of most rapid adoption. The Salesforce example you gave would kind of be an outlier, right? Because you guys were really strong and focused on these kind of frontline environments, which is maybe what a lot of the kind of tech people typically wouldn't even think about and think of, right? So how did this come about? The Thai example is fascinating, right? This is not something somebody in, I don't know, Palo Alto would think of when they start coding.
Absolutely right. And I think this is, people using big words like democratization, et cetera, of all this technology. And I love that part because at the end of the day, when you talk about frontline workers, we're talking about, Florian, we're talking about 2 billion frontline workers. That's the size of the market.
It's huge. Yeah.
Yes. And it doesn't matter if you're an oil rig in the middle of the North Sea, or you're doing it right now in the chicken nuggets factory in Thailand, or another example, we work in one of the largest jewelry manufacturer out of Hong Kong and China. And they're doing visual inspection, QA inspection of the parts. And an inspection that currently taking 175 seconds to view and write by speech, it's going down to 30 seconds. So now you can do 5-6x amount of pieces of jewelry in the same 3 minutes. So for us, at the end of the day, it's really the ability, and I love the fact that one of the things that I always talk about, with all due respect to the technology, and we are very proud of our technology, don't get me wrong, it's never about technology. It's about usage, about adoption, about the human factor. And at the end of the day, when I'm working right now with an airline baggage lady, that her job is to write the content of an orphan bag that arrives a day after you arrived, and now they're trying to match between you two, and she needs to go and write down a report. Now she opened the bag and she just describes it. Hoka shoes, deodorant, red spot, whatever. And the quote I got from that lady was, "This is changing my life." So the combination of the technology, efficiency, and all these elements, or a different example, I just came back from Germany. We're working with automotive.
Yeah.
And it's a very clean environment situation, robotics, and they have big screens where they're monitoring the shift. And then there's always something goes wrong, and there's always incident throughout the shift. They have to stay at the end of the shift to write a report about what went wrong. They hate it. They want to rush home. They'll do the bare minimum. Now we allow them to speak in real time during the shift. And and My mother always told me, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Try to keep that proportion. And one thing which I learned, it's amazing what you're able to hear, Florian, if you're willing to listen. Now, if you give them a voice, they'll speak up. And once they'll speak up, it's amazing how much information you can extract out of it, how much data you can extract out of it.
And also one of your kind of USPs or very strong areas is jargon handling, right? That's what we learned in our research. And I think you just gave 2 interesting examples. I guess the suitcase example is a little less jargon because, okay, hoka and I don't know, like sweater or pants, right? But in the automotive, it's full of jargon. So how do you guys handle this super jargon heavy environment? And also, I think in another podcast, I got one data point that you said that each industry only has like 2,000 to 3,000 relevant words or like super jargony words.
No, actually it's limited. Okay, it's not
limited.
2 or 3. It can be 20,000, it can be 30,000, doesn't matter, but it's limited.
Yeah.
It's not endless, and it's a learning machine. So basically, we can basically swallow all those keywords, and we can do it on a process or location or accent or whatever. We're working right now with one of the stock exchanges, and they say, for example, this. What is this? This is December, okay? And I give you even more challenging situation. We're working right now with one of the leading airports in Europe, and we build a language model in German because it's in Germany. And the performance was subpar to what we used to, and we wanted to understand why. Turns out that most of the users in that specific airport are mostly Turkish immigrants that speaks a broken language. It's Turkish German. It's not Turkish, it's not German, it's like Spanglish, okay, in the US. And then for us, the language, we don't look at it from a linguistic perspective. The language is just the carrier of the data on top. So we use, actually, I'm making it up right now for illustration purposes, only, let's say, instead of saying Guten Morgen, you say Guten Jorgen. The aiOla jargon engine identified jargon as a jargon word for Morgen. So even though we build now a language model for a language that doesn't exist linguistically, because we understand how to identify the keywords that we need to extract out of that carrier, just happen to be, in this case, Turkish German.
Okay, that's fascinating. I mean, that's so niche. Like, okay, airport, specific location, specific type of linguistic community almost for that specific task, right? And then you guys are going in, identifying that and making the model work. Wow, okay. How replicatable would this be? I mean, okay, you fix it for the German airport, but then would this kind of relatively easily scale across all of the airports and all of the workforces, or?
Two separate things here. One, again, is to identify the use cases where we make the biggest impact in the shortest period of time with minimum obstacle possible. Like, to give you an example, baggage is great, but for example, safety for airlines and airports, it's paramount. It's super critical. And actually, it's a culture thing. We're turning every single employee within that company or specific airline or specific airport to safety ambassadors. So incident reporting and time for resolution shrunk significantly. So, this is a use case. Forget about the languages and accent for a second.
Yeah.
The key here, and it's a big challenge, is all the big LLM, all the big players you mentioned, 11 Labs, DeepGram, Assembly, all those guys, Whisper, OpenAIs, they'll give you a plain vanilla. Here's an API. Good luck, Florian. We're saying that's going to take you that far. It's going to hit the ceiling when it comes to jargon, to keywords, all these things we talked about a minute ago. Our ability, I don't know if you like truffle, tartufo, okay? An omelet is just an omelet until you put truffle on top. We are the tartufo, okay? So it's
good one. Good one.
Okay? Especially when I like it. Some people feel it too strong, okay? But for me, that's the point here. Now, it's not sustainable and it's not scalable unless you're able to do that automatically. And the ability to tailor the nuance for a specific form or workflow or inspection is really the art that we generated that directly linked to return of investment. We're not necessarily selling it to CIOs. Our biggest friends are the CFOs and CEOs and COOs because it allows them to do that, to do more with less. The second part, going back to those exotic, type of processes that's far away from Palo Alto, in a way, I feel like we fast track and skip generations because everybody now When we started the project with the grocery chain, it's in Canada, and French Canadian is a very interesting language to start with. When we succeeded, I got a call from the CEO, and he said, Amir, for 3 years, and it's a $25 billion company.
Yeah.
For 3 years, every board meeting started with a question, say, Mr. CEO, what are you doing in AI? And he said, mostly I'm flailing, creating some out here with my arms, and talk about chatbots and all kind of things. And for the first time, I was sitting tall. It's a real use case. They have to inspect the temperature of the meat or the consumable goods inside the refrigerator, not the refrigerator, and report in real time. Say on a single process like this, with first 600 stores, they saved 110,000 hours that went directly to EBITDA. The ROI is 5x. And in addition, now it's not waiting for the goods to go bad and then try to investigate what happened. Actually, if the temperature is above the threshold, it's automatic alert, allow them to be proactive. And this is a 2% margin industry. And Frank Sinatra sang about New York, if I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. And I realized if I can help a supermarket chain, which is not very advanced technology-wise, that never invests in AI, to actually leverage their own generated data to make better decision and have such an ROI, I can do it everywhere else.
So this is a very kind of, you mentioned CFO, CEO. So this is a very challenging, maybe even a little bit long enterprise sales cycle, I guess you're in, and you have the ROI as like a pretty big arrow in your sales quiver, right? So how do you go about kind of go to market enterprise sales? Do they come to you? Do you go to them?
It's a great question. And just to give you a hint about my background, this is really the areas where I specialize. One of my previous companies, I took from 16 direct enterprise clients to 16,000 channel clients. And I've done that, I've built that many times. I've made many mistakes, but I kind of perfected it along the way. Several things here. The biggest challenge was when we started is like, why speech? Okay, and then when you start, it's not like, oh, I need to have a speech solution and I budget it and I'm looking for the best solution. That's not the case. The first, why speech? And I do it normally to get them excited, to fuel their imagination and demonstrate the art of the possible. That normally leads to what we call a whiteboard session, where they start to throw ideas. And I try to navigate them to find areas where we can make the biggest impact at the shortest period of time with minimum obstacle possible. Now, once I've done it and I've validated it, I realize the market is huge, but there's no time to spend. So I believe that this is connected to what we just announced about our UST collaboration. It ties in very nicely in a minute. We realize that once we prove it, we don't have the domain expertise, but there's a lot of professional services or digital transformation companies that their job is to do exactly right. And they realize, by the way, I went to the largest of them. It's a 900,000 person gorilla. And I tried to talk about what we're doing here. And I got a cold reaction initially. And I asked them, may I go to the whiteboard and write something? I said, sure. And I wrote WBYH, said, that's in Hebrew? I said, no. It's what brought you here will not bring you there. Yeah. And their playground is changing. Their sandbox is changing. So what we are doing right now, we partner with UST. UST is an amazing organization, 30,000 people strong, very agile. And among other things, by the way, they have their own Salesforce practice, their big system integrated to Salesforce, to take just what we have done right now for this Fortune 50 company, go get them and replicate it at scale. Now, by doing so, we also writing existing engagements they have with clients where aiOla is a simple add-on. So that's shortening significantly the sales cycle. So we partner with them, we partner with Salesforce, we partner with NVIDIA. I don't know if you've seen it, but one of the biggest tech events globally is NVIDIA's GTC. GTC is Global Technology Conference. And June, Paris, Jensen got on stage and basically gave his keynote. And unprovoked, he was talking about how aiOla is redefining the world by spoken data. So we get in the recognition, and we have a close partnership with NVIDIA and joint go-to-market. We have a close partnership with Salesforce. UST is an amazing addition. We have a collaboration agreement with Accenture. So by using those channels, we're now able to take it to the next level and scale. In addition, there are a lot of players that would like to benefit from our automatic speech recognition fused with natural language understanding capabilities. So now it's going to become an OEM player that basically white label our capability to do the data entry to their AI platform by speech.
The UST is fascinating. So I don't think a lot of our listeners will be familiar with UST. So can you just tell a bit more about UST? I understand now what you're saying. So you're saying UST consulting, advisory, they're going out, they're using it in kind of real life use cases. You're coming in, it's like a giant kind of channel partner / lead generation. But tell the listeners a bit more about UST, because we just had Capgemini on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. They were talking about a product they were doing internally. But in your case, you're doing the product and they're the partner.
Absolutely. So first of all, with my experience with one of the leading management consultings in the space, I know the space very, very well. And I like UST a lot because UST is not the 900,000, it's only 30,000, okay?
Only 30,000.
Only 30,000. But I like them a lot. They call themselves the largest private-owned digital transformation company. Okay, they have very serious backers. The biggest shareholders is Temasek for Singapore. So very, very serious backers behind them. But what really got my attention is two things. One, I met their leadership, starting from Krishna, the CEO, and Manu, the president, and the entire team around them. And they're very progressive in their thinking, but they are not the big aircraft carrier. They can be a speedboat. 30,000 people, agility, but it's 30,000 versus much larger. And they realize it's not, some of the success that NVIDIA is getting right now, because it's the fact they were the early adopter. They realized many years ago a big wave is coming and they're going all in where the chips, they're going all in on AI. And $5 trillion later, or $5.5 trillion later, they prove it. So the key there for early adopters or pack leaders is not the size where you are where you start, is your ability to identify opportunities and go all in. Second, we started to collaborate with them, and then they realized that there's a clear synergy here. While they are the trusted advisors for digital transformation, they recognize the biggest challenge in all those AI projects is going back to the fundamentals of data challenge. And it's very easy to explain why speech, and arguably we solve it in a nice way. So for them, it gives them a clear differentiation when approaching their clients. It served their clear initiative to go after AI and transformation and big data. And for us, it gives us the skill that we lack to that partnership and shortly. So from that perspective, it's a win-win-win. First of all, our joint clients are getting the greatest value they can have. For them, it's a differentiation and something that fits perfectly to their strategy. And for us, the scale we will not be able to get on our own.
Yeah, it's pretty smart move. I want to talk about one area, I guess, that's very close to a lot of the listeners of this podcast, which is the translation part, the multilingual part. So what we've been talking about now is speech to data to outcome, the insight to ROI, right?
Correct.
Now, the language translation part, does this figure anywhere on your roadmap? Is it relevant, or is it just, okay, just in, in brackets here. So is it just understanding like 100 languages as well, or training on 100 languages or understanding the jargon, or is the conversion, the translation part in any way relevant to you?
Yeah, so basically we don't claim and we are not understanding 100 languages. We understand processes in those 100 languages, okay? So if you go deviate and start talking about, the weather or sports or politics or whatever, you're going to lose us. Or we're going to lose you, because we are so laser sharp. And that's the reason where we can do this automation of personalization, tailor for very narrow slice. Now, we have plenty of examples. For example, working with United Airlines. And United, by the way, it's an amazing story by itself, because United realized the biggest asset they have is not the 1,047 aircraft they have, the largest fleet in the world. They realized the biggest asset is the data flies through the system that currently is uncaptured and unstructured, and we allow them to reshape now the future of travel by spoken data. So safety and compliance for them is super important. Now we have 42,000 people at United using that app, but they may use English and then shift to Spanish and then talk to a friend. I'll be able to translate everything which is relevant to safety and compliance with close to 100% accuracy, and they can see the different languages. We're actually, in a way, flattening the world. Think about hospitality, housekeeping, can be modern day Tower of Babylon. People coming from all different, I don't care what language you speak, the data will come whatever target data or target language you want us to do.
Got it. But the conversion part, like, it's not like people are using you for like just raw translation, raw speech translation. No,
Correct.
that wouldn't happen.
Correct. We're
Got
not. We are aiming specifically to slice it per process, per workflow, per inspection, and we'll do that at perfection better than anybody else.
Yeah, that's very, very, very interesting. Hey, so everybody's trying to hire AI talent as much as everybody's trying to get their hands on GPUs. So how is it to hire AI talent in today's environment for you? Like, how do you get engineers, people that know what they're doing?
First of all, it's challenging. It's becoming more and more challenging. And, when a bubble takes place, it's, I don't remember, but I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, nothing to do with AI yet. At least we experienced a shortage in DevOps. And it was very difficult to find DevOps, and a reasonable price was impossible. So the key there, because at the end of the day, I do believe that you have to find this balance between research and practical solution. So there are a lot of people that coming from academia that would love to dive deeper and deeper and deeper. And, if you look even on our website and look on the benchmarks, and you see we've been competition after competition after competition, we winning. It's not the accuracy Olympics, okay? But aiOla constantly is, even though the relatively small size of the team, we're leading the pack when it comes to unique technology. So what we learn is a friend, bring a friend, bring a friend, bring a friend, and creating a community. And so far, mostly that's the way we got people that easily could find jobs in bigger and richer companies. But I think more than anything else is culture eats strategy for breakfast. And to get people to be part of something which is bigger than ourselves, solving a major issue, doing something that drives impact on a daily basis. And, one of the compliments I got from my mother was I was interviewed on a TV program last week, and I explained, what are we doing? And she's 84. And she said, you were still speaking too fast, but I understood what you guys are doing. And it's fascinating.
That's good. That's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah. I think the airport example is an amazing one, by the way. Just that resonates very, very quickly. When you say, like, somebody, you basically literally unpack the bag and then you have to manually type it in. I mean, what a pain, right? And if you can just do your job and you tell it and then it goes in, it becomes structured data much, much easier. So I also want to talk a little bit about the roadmap for 2026. I mean, how do you decide what to build, what to not build, which technologies to build in-house? Where do you want to, use a lot of the existing technology that's out there? So tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah. So the main thing there, again, is it's very tempting when you're very good in research to continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And you need to find that balance.
Yeah.
This is good enough, okay? Now we make it a product, something you can take at scale. So the biggest challenge for us, first of all, and we're working on it and we're getting there, is now that we validated the technology, check. First, we build the technology and we validate it with clients across verticals and languages and demonstrate ROI is how to build this scale machine that can take it to the fullest potential, number one. Number two, there's a lot of excitement about what's coming up next. So one of the areas we're looking at is PLG. Product-led growth, meaning having a platform that allow any developer to get access to aiOla and with low touch, no touch, be able to get all the firepower that we have to their benefit, almost in a automatic way. And now it's the two more elements. One of them is vibe coding. Can you imagine vibe coding by speech?
That would be something for me. That would be great for me. I want to vibe code by speech.
I think most of us, to be honest, again, if you can do vibe coding by speech, which leads to the next point, Jensen, which we learned to respect everything it says, claims that AI agents are going to be multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Okay, and he's arguably absolutely right. However, guess what? Even AI agents need to be prompt. And speech is still the most natural form of communication. And you're going to stumble to the same fundamental challenges we already solved. So now try to imagine, first of all, doing prompting to agents by speech. Second, agents are always going to go as far as the data underneath. and we arguably generating data, high quality data, full of Tartufo that previously was uncaptured and unstructured, that allows agents to go way beyond what we imagine even feasible. So the combination of bringing what we do to scale, number one. Two, trying to get the PLG route, so allow more people to use it on their own automatically. Three, use speech for agentic environment, and everything we do is actually, we're working right now with NVIDIA about voice agentic workflows on their platform. And now that we generate that data is how far can we take the agent on top? So it's a loop that continues to feed itself. That's what really got us super excited about 26, because I believe everything we did and up to this point was amazing preseason or spring training in the US or whatever you want to call it. But now we're ready for the game.
Ready for the game. All right. Amir, that was fascinating. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Pleasure. I really enjoyed that. Thank you, Florian.